Huge signing incoming. This is exactly what the Orlando Magic need and exactly what they should do in this offseason. This self-proclaimed best shooter in the world will be available as a free agent after turning his career around after a poor season in Milwaukee. We're going to be talking about the role players in this video today, what this team needs to potentially do to get some of these guys for pennies on the dollar, make this team an offensive threat to other NBA teams while still keeping their identity and culture. Guys, welcome to Magic Digest. I'm your host, Previty. As always, this is your one-stop shop for Orlando Magic basketball content, and I love seeing you guys comment down below, giving your opinion on Orlando Magic basketball. Guys, we may disagree on Jalen Suggs or what this team needs to do or how aggressive they should be, but I think we're all rooting for them to continuously improve and make some big splashes in the offseason. Maybe they don't need to make big splashes by going big game hunting. Maybe they can go small game hunting like in today's videos. We're going to be talking about three separate players. Obviously, first of all, where does this come from? This comes from Christopher Knox of Bleacher Report. He recently linked the Magic to the Detroit Pistons sharpshooter Malik Beasley as a potential free agent option, as well as Dennis Schroder, and he even threw out Tyus Jones, who I've seen Tyus Jones and Dennis Schroder in the last couple of videos that I have posted. You guys mentioned their names. Last offseason, we're going to focus here really quick on Malik Beasley to start out. Last offseason, the Pistons acquired Beasley on a one-year, $6 million deal. He was a substantial addition to this Pistons team that improved by 30 wins, made it to the first round against the New York Knicks. Now, Malik Beasley signed with the Milwaukee Bucks last season, before this, this season that's currently going on, and wasn't really a player that panned out for them. Unfortunately, he just wasn't able to find his rhythm. He was going to be their two guard, their starting two guard. Wasn't really able to be that in the 23-24 season, but in 24-25, 16.5 points, 42%, rounding up, 3-point percentage for the season. He was a crucial point in winning basketball for a team that took the next step this year. That is why I think, and I see exactly why. I'm not like hating or anything like that. That's exactly why I think that he would fit. But my concerns are potentially he's not going to sign for a one-year, $6 million deal again. So how much are we willing to shell out to him? I don't know if we can back up the Brinks truck for Malik Beasley, especially when we're going to get into the cap situation here too today. Especially when we just paid for a guy like KCP, and he's got $21 million, I believe, owed to him this upcoming year. So it's like you're kind of giving up on KCP as well as just bringing in Malik Beasley. You probably can't do both, and if you have both, then there maybe could be a logjam there, or you have to give up some of the other guys that we potentially do want to give up, like Gary Harris, Cole Anthony, or maybe not Cole Anthony, Corey Joseph. Some guys like that, and even like a Jet Howard type who you're kind of just pushing down further on the bench. But yes, he was really good. Also pretty good in the playoff series against the Knicks. Obviously, Detroit's going to make a big push to re-sign him, but I think it's just about how much he is going to be asking. That'll be the big storyline as far as Malik Beasley is concerned in the offseason. Okay, let's move to the next name, Dennis Schroder. This is a man who has been on 3 teams in the last year, but for all of them made an impact and played well, and it was kind of almost an afterthought in the league for a while here, but has put together a really good resume, especially over the last couple years, where you got to say that he can really contribute to winning basketball, just as we saw from Malik Beasley. 13 points per game, 34% 3-point percentage, 40% from the floor, played on Brooklyn, Golden State, and Detroit this season. And let me just say this is somebody, if you don't want him, like if you're a team and you don't really see a fit for him and you end up trading him, that's okay. But if there's a team that really could use a ball handling veteran point guard that can shoot the basketball, it is the Orlando Magic. Truthfully, this could be a player that they really try to hone in on and potentially acquire in this offseason. And I think I would be up in arms, or not up in arms, I would be ecstatic, arms in the air for a player like this to come over, because I think also there's that German connection, and it just feels like it fits, and much cheaper, I think, potentially than Malik Beasley or the next guy on this list who we're just about to get into right now. Who is this man? Drumroll please. Tyus Jones from the Phoenix Suns. He shot 41% from the three-point line this year as well as last year. The scoring output is a little bit less than the other two guys that we mentioned, but as a backup point guard or as a guy who could be the point guard and Jalen Suggs maybe potentially gets moved over to the 2, I really like this move. We really invested a lot of time into Corey Joseph and Gary Harris this year. Those guys were really good defenders. I get it. But when we look at Tyus Jones, he could potentially be the guy who we don't really feel like we're giving too much up whenever he's out there on the floor. Yeah, those other two players that I mentioned played well defensively. Corey Joseph less so, in my opinion. Gary Harris, sure. But we don't feel like we're giving up too much whenever Tyus Jones, I feel like, would be on the floor for the Orlando Magic. Obviously, you can see the other stats here. He shoots 50% on corner threes, and he's just all around a solid player. And for Phoenix, they're probably not really using him in the way that they potentially could be, but or can Orlando do that? I think that they can. Would he fit that table setting point guard that Paolo Banchero potentially wants? I don't know. I don't know if he goes all the way to that end of the spectrum, if he can do that as well as shoot as much as he has. But I think it would be a great signing. So I also mentioned I wanted to get into the cap scenario. We've talked a lot about the stars, what this cap situation looks like. I mentioned yesterday, and if you missed, or excuse me, today, yesterday, the video on Franz, Jalen Suggs, Paolo Banchero, where do we assess them? And we've talked a lot about what do you have to move to potentially get a star player, and what does that salary cap look like for the Orlando Magic. A lot of you guys have brought up some very good points, but I think at the end of the day, it's something that we definitely have to take a look at, and we must recognize that this team actually isn't as flexible as maybe we potentially would have thought. Franz and Jalen Suggs' extensions are kicking in this summer. Both of those guys. We're looking at this upcoming season as well as the season after that. So that's the salary cap. Break down the cap sheet right here. Those extensions are kicking in. So Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Jonathan Isaac are now no longer the two highest paid players. Also, Paolo Banchero's salary inches up a little bit, and you have Franz Wagner getting paid almost $40 million a year, Jalen Suggs at $35 million, and we are in the first apron. We were past it. We're past it by, I believe, like $8 million or so, and then we're not too far away from the first. The Magic are currently projected to be $3.4 million over the first luxury tax apron, and only $8.5 million below the second apron. So I was getting those numbers mixed up a little bit, but yeah, $8.5 million away from the second apron, not above the first apron, but $3.4 million projected above that first apron. Guys, we know that this is dangerous territory. Teams get broken up because of this. The CBA is way different now. I'm not a capologist, but I can just tell you right now, we don't want to approach that second apron. And if we do, then we at least want to make sure that we have a championship, a full-fledged championship contending team, as is a team that could beat the Boston Celtics, who have like a $500 million payroll, or any of those other teams with a big three or with a lot of young players on an extension or having those extensions potentially kick in. Look, Paolo Banchero is going to get paid. So we're going to have Paolo, Jalen Suggs, and Franz Wagner. We would potentially only be able to work with the other remaining salaries, and if we don't want to give up Jalen Suggs, and that would potentially inhibit what this team could do. Do you build this team through role players? I'm expecting 3 to 4 different rotational pieces this upcoming season to try to be aggressive in that way if they want to make sure that they definitely stay away from the second apron. Now, the positives of going the other way, if you do move a guy like Suggs and still approach the second apron, well, then you definitely probably made that deal either getting Trae Young or LaMelo Ball, and that is a pretty monstrous big three with all of the progress or the anticipated progression considered. And I think that could be another way of building this team. It kind of just depends on what your philosophy would be and what is worth it. Like if it would be worth it to get in the second apron if you're definitely able to compete for a championship right now. But then if you're not, stay away and then make sure that you pick apart who is potentially going to be envisioned to be on this championship team, right? Is a guy like Jett Howard there? I don't think so right now, unfortunately. Anthony Black, I think so. Gary Harris, no. Bataze, I thought so midway through this last season. Wendell Carter Jr., if he's at the 4, but I don't want to pay him any more than this. We did just obviously re-sign him, so we probably won't have to. But still, at the end of the day, you have to recognize that he's getting $18 million in the following year, so maybe this is time to deal him now. Mo Wagner's not going anywhere. Cole Anthony, Jonathan Isaac, are those salaries potentially too high? Do you want to bring him down a little bit? I like Tristan Da Silva. I don't want to give him up. Corey Joseph, I think, is going to be gone. Good as gone, especially in the coming years. So when you take a look at that, what are the role players that you want to switch out? And obviously KCP, for the amount of money that he's making, should be released as well at some point, or traded or whatever, be a part of any sort of different trade. But guys, let me know what you think in the comment section down below about those three players that I talked about today: Dennis Schroder, Malik Beasley, and Tyus Jones, and what you think about this overall cap situation. Nice little change of pace today, talking about the role players instead of the stars. We'll see exactly how this team builds as the summer progresses on. But of course, guys, as always, I will see you guys next time with more Orlando Magic basketball content.